Hello students, today we will study English Literature, Chapter 6, and the name of the chapter is Pip Meets the Convict. Students, this story, or we can say it's a novel which is written by Charles Dickens. Students, Charles Dickens is a famous English writer. He is from Britain and he has been awarded for his work of writing. His very famous books are A Christmas Carol, which was written by 1843, and another one is A Tale of Two Cities, which was written in 1859. So this was about the writer of our novel. Even though it is a novel, it has been shortened to a great extent to be included in our textbooks. So we will be studying it in short. Students, this story is about a boy whose name is Philip and he is orphan. His name is Philip, but since childhood he was able to pronounce only Pip, and that's how he comes to be named as Pip, and everybody starts calling him Pip instead of Philip. He is an orphan. And one day he was missing his family. His 5 brothers and parents are already dead. So he goes to the churchyard, and in the churchyard he sees various graves where he can find the graves of his parents and brothers too. He sits there looking at the graves and he thinks that he had never seen his parents in his life. He did not even know how his parents looked like, because this was the time when there were no photographs. So the only thing that he knew was he could see their graves on which whatever was written, only that much he could read. And he imagined them in the form of graves only. He could not get any image out of them. He thought his father might have been fat and stout man. He thought my mother might have been freckled and weak. And in that manner, he used to imagine his family. So one day, he goes to the churchyard and he was sitting there silently. In the story, the writer has tried to build a kind of dreadfulness in the beginning of the chapter. When you read here, you will find some words which show us that the atmosphere is dready. Some of those words we can read over here. He says that the country was a marsh country. We know marsh country means, marsh area means an area which remains wet. And another word that he has used here is bleak place overgrown with nettles. So for the churchyard, he says that the churchyard was such a place which was bleak and overgrown. Overgrown means there were a lot of shrubs growing there, and it gave a look of kind of wild place. And we know if we visit a wild place, it will be kind of dreadful for us. It will seem to be a dready place, and that is what the writer wants to build an image in the beginning. He also says that it was overgrown with nettles. Nettles are wild plants, so wild plants were growing there. Some more words that he has used is beyond the churchyard was the marshes. Marshes, what is a churchyard? Churchyard means an area which is close to the church, an open area or the ground which surrounds the church is known as churchyard. And he talks about marshes. Marsh is a wet place which remains waterlogged for most of the time of the year. So the writer is trying to build an image in our mind of the place that was there where Pip or Philip was sitting. He also says that the distant, savage lyre from which the wind was rushing. Students, distant, savage lyre means a wild place where wind blows, and they could see the sea from there. So it was a wild place, wind was rushing. We had there was a churchyard which was full of wild plants, and so all of this is giving us an image that it was dreadful to be there. Further we read here, the writer says that the small bundle of shivers, growing afraid of it all and beginning to cry, was Pip. So he says, he talks about Pip and he says that he was a small bundle of shivers. We know shivering means trembling with fear or shaking with fear. And he says that Pip was a small bundle of shivers. Since we know that Pip was a young boy, so he calls him a small bundle of shivers because he was afraid to be there. Seeing such a place, he was feeling afraid and he was almost about to cry. But at that moment, what happens? There appears a man, and even though the name of this man is not given in the story, but when we read the novel, we will find that the name of this man was Magwitch, and this man had escaped from jail. So he was a convict. He had escaped from jail and somehow he managed to reach that churchyard, and he was sitting there and he appears in front of Pip. And what he says, Pip was about to cry and he started crying a little bit, and this man shouts angrily and says, "Hold your noise," cried a terrible voice. Now this person, Magwitch, had a very strong and terrible voice, and he shouts at the boy and he says, "Hold your voice." At the side of the church porch, "Keep still, you little devil, or I'll cut your throat." So from where did he appear? Students, if you have seen a church, you might have seen that in front of the church at the entrance, there's a kind of room-like structure which may have doors and sometimes it may not have doors. So in front of the main door, there is another room-like structure, and that is known as church porch. So from that porch, this man appeared and he started shouting at the little Pip, and he threatens him that if you will keep crying, I'll cut your throat and I will take out your liver. A fearful man, all in coarse grey. Now the writer tells about the cloth, the material of the cloth that he was wearing. It was coarse grey. He describes the man completely, that he had great iron on his leg. His legs were tied with iron. He had no hat. His shoes were totally broken, and there was an old rag or a torn-up cloth which was tied around his head. You can even see in this picture, you can see here that a cloth is tied around his head. A man who had been soaked in water. Now he was wet, he was soaked in water, and there was dirt on all his clothes. He was smothered in dirt, means he was covered with dirt. He was almost lamed with stones. He had walked on stones, and that is why he kind of became lame. And cut by flints. What are flints? Students, flints are rocks. And stung by nettles. Nettles are shrubs. He had been hurt while walking. If a shrub touches us somehow, sometimes there are kinds of shrubs that even tend to cut our body. We get a kind of cut on the body, and that kind of shrubs he was walking through. So he also had some cuts. Torn by briars. Again, briars are some shrubs. Who limped and shivered and glared and glowed, and whose teeth chattered in his head as he seized me by the chin. Now this person held Pip by his chin and started speaking. Now we know that Pip is a little child. he felt afraid and he said, "Oh, please, please leave me, don't cut my throat." And this man asked him what was his name, what was Pip's name. Now Pip told that, "My name is Pip. Show us where you live." Now this man is asking, "Where do you live? Show me your house." So this boy pointed out towards the village, towards his village where he lived, and this village was around a mile from the church. Now the man looked at the boy for a moment, and then again he turned him upside. He turned the boy upside, emptied his pockets, but he could not find anything in the pocket. There was only some bread that he could find. He took out that bread, he ate up whole bread, and it felt as if he was very hungry. As we know, he had escaped from jail, and he might have been hungry, he might have been tired, he was a convict. So he quickly took hold of the piece of bread. He took that bread, turned this boy upright again, and he made this boy to sit on a tombstone. So they were in the graveyard, there were a lot of tombs. So he made the boy sit on a tombstone and began to eat the bread ravenously, means with all his might that he could. So much passionately he ate the bread. And again he's shouting at the boy and saying, "You young dog, what fat cheeks you have." He said, "You have got such fat cheeks, and I really want to eat them." And he kept threatening this little boy, and he said, "I really feel to eat your fat cheeks." Now this boy, we know he is a young boy, he was very afraid again. He looked at him with hope that, "Please do not eat up my cheeks." To keep myself upon it, partly to keep myself from crying. Now this person had kept this boy, had taken him up and made him sit on the tombstone. So the writer says, not the writer, the boy is feeling that he has made me to sit on this tombstone, maybe because I was about to cry, maybe because of that, and apart from that, to keep himself upon it. "Now look here," said the man, "where's your mother?" Now he inquires about mother. "There, sir," said I. Now this boy points out towards the grave. I made a short run and stopped and looked over his shoulder. "There, sir," I timidly explained. "Also Georgina, that's my mother." So he is telling about his parents, pointing out towards various graves that were there in the graveyard. So this man sees the graves, and now what he tells him, he asks him, "Do you know what is a file?" So the boy said, "Yes, I do know what is a file." And he says, "Then I have a task for you, and if you do not complete that task, I am going to take out your liver, I am going to take out your heart, and I am going to eat it up." So this boy becomes very afraid. He said, "I'll cut your throat if you do not get me a file and some bread, some food, stock of food to eat." So this boy was shivering with fear, and this man, what he was doing, he had already made him to sit on the tombstone, and with each thing that he was telling, he was tilting the boy down. Once he tilted the boy down and said, "You have to bring file for me." The boy said, "Okay, sir, I'll bring file for you." He tilts him further down and he says, "You have to bring food for me." The boy said, "Okay, sure sir, I'll bring food also." And this man again says, Magwitch again says, "And if you told this matter to anybody that there is a man living here, again I'm going to cut your throat." So he further threatens him and says that there is a man with me and he really wants to cut your throat and take out your liver and eat it. But it is me who is stopping him from doing so. So he threatened this boy in this manner and continued to threaten again and again. So this boy ultimately pleads, "Please sir, I'll get it, whatever you want, but please bring me down from this tombstone, and then only I can bring the things for you. So this man says, okay. He took him from the tombstone and put him down, and he says, tomorrow early morning, you have to come and you have to get the bread near the battery. Now students, what is a battery? Even though the spelling is same, it means a large number of very small cages. So there was a place some close by that graveyard, and he points towards that side and he says, you have to bring food near that place, near the cages. And never dare to say a word or dare to make a sign concerning your having seen such a person as me. Again he warns him that you will never tell anybody that you have seen a person like me. Now this poor boy agrees to whatever he says, and he said, okay sir, sure sir, I won't tell anybody, please let me go. We read here, I said that I would get him the file, and I would get him what broken bits of food I could, and I would come to him at the battery early in the morning. And this man further threatens him and says that, say with your own mouth that strike me dead if I don't bring this file and food. So this boy, frightened, he again says, yes sir, you can cut me, you can strike me to death if I do not bring these things. Ultimately this man left the boy, but further we read, now he pursued. You remember what you have undertook, and you remember that young man, and you get home. So he says, further threatens him and says, you remember that what you have to do, and you also remember that there is a young man with me who will cut your throat and take out your liver. So it's better that you do the task that is being given to you. Now this poor boy agrees again and starts walking and says, good night sir. I faltered. What is the meaning of faltered, students? Faltered means to lose strength or to walk with, not able to walk with speed, because losing strength, when we try to walk with speed but we are not able to walk, we are losing our strength, we feel weak. Usually it happens when we are afraid, when we are under fear of something. Much of that, said he, glancing about him over the cold wet flat. I wish I was a frog or an eel. Now this boy says he was looking at him, and so at that moment I was wishing it was better if I could have been a frog who could jump fast and go away, or an eel. Students, eel means a fish. It's a fish which looks like a snake. So the boy is thinking, if I was an eel, I could have swam fast from here. If I was a frog, I could have jumped and ran away from here. He was so frightened of that man. At the same time, he hugged his shuddering body. Now he says that this man, even though he was threatening the boy, but he himself was trembling with fear. And when the boy left, this boy hugged his shuddering body like this. This man hugged his shuddering body and walked away from there. But he was walking with difficulty. He was not able to walk properly, and he was walking among the wild plants which are known as nettles. And among the brambles again, students, these are wild bushes that bound the green mounds. What are mounds? Mounds are hills. So he was walking around among the bushes and wild plants which were around the mound. Mound means the small hills. When he came to the low church wall, he got over it like a man whose legs were numbed and stiff. So this boy Pip was continuously watching that how this man is going or where he is going, and he saw that when this man reached further, when he reached the low church wall, he was walking as if his legs are numb and stiff. He was unable to walk. We can very well imagine that he had ran away from the jail. So he might have been very afraid that somebody will come and catch him, and that is why he was afraid too. When I saw him turning, I set my face towards home. Now this boy, he was looking at that man turning that side, and then when that man turned around, this boy becomes very afraid. So he turns towards his house and walks away from there. He says, I made the best use of my legs, means I ran with whatever speed that I could. So students, this was all about this story. Even though it's a novel, in novel we can read further that this man whom we see here, who was a convict, his name was Magwitch, who was later on recaptured by the jail authorities, and he was taken away from there.